I'm back. I know it's been a while, but I was working on a TV show and I was working weekends and I was dying, guys. I needed to sleep. I just got so burned out. But I'm back. I'm unemployed. That means we're getting videos again. I've been drinking a Monster Energy to get hyped up, and I'm very excited to show you this presentation. Now, before going into this, I haven't really looked at it. I made this like 4 or 5 months ago. Whenever I basically stopped making videos, I had made this and then I just never got around to recording it. So I'm really into sports, and usually every year we get an updated NFL All-Felon team, right? NFL players commit the most felonies out of any sport. They get hit in the head a lot. This is what happens. You make a lot of money, you get hit in the head a lot, you're going to commit a lot of crime. Just what happens. So basically, the goal is we want to make the equivalence of an NFL all prison team, right? Here's the NFL example. Mike Vick, he dogfighting, tortured dogs. Plaxico Burress, I think he shot himself in the club. Pac-Man Jones, he assaulted somebody. Aaron Hernandez killed a bunch of people. Only got prosecuted on a couple of them. Ocho Cinco headbutted a bitch. OJ Simpson did not go to jail for murder. He was it armed robbery? I think he had gone after someone in Vegas that had a bunch of like his memorabilia and robbed them. I don't remember what Sam Hurd or Ricky Williams did, but this is the concept, right? We're trying to make the best felon team we can for a movie. The goal is to win an Oscar. So we're trying to go all time. We're trying to make one of the best movies you've ever seen. And the rule is they must be found guilty in a court of law, not the court of public opinion. So just because you think they committed a crime or did something, that doesn't matter. They need to be found guilty. Misdemeanors count if they're violent in nature. So it's okay if it's not a felony, as long as they like sort of assaulted someone or did something good. Not lame. It can't be lame. We want to have a fun team here. We're selecting for the best movie possible, not necessarily the most heinous of crimes. So if we have a tax fraud felony and a murder felony, and the murder person is a no-namer that you don't care about, not a good actor, but the tax fraud person's an Oscar winner, we're probably going to go that way, right? We're trying to select for talent here, guys. We want an all-star roster. White Monster is absolutely amazing. I'm so addicted to these though, like doesn't even affect me anymore, as I shake around. So we're going to start, and this is my bias as a writer, but we're going to go with the screenwriter. We're going to pretend that the screenwriter has a spec script that he or she has been working on. Story is the most important thing. You go to the movies for a story. You don't go for anything else. That's just the facts, right? Even if a movie's really pretty, bunch of cool VFX, you're going for the story still. We're going to pretend the screenwriter actually has people that care about their spec script, right? So they're not like me. They're going to be an actual WGA writer who has representation and is able to get it into the hands of their agent. Their agent can go out to directors, producers, right? They can actually do something with the stuff they write instead of like me, where it just sits on a shelf and then no one cares about this. And then I just toss it back here, right? Kind of that concept. So who are we going with our screenwriter? What are we doing? Give me Dalton Trumbo, one of the greats. In 1947, he was named as a communist sympathizer. The House of Un-American Activities Committee summoned Trumbo and 9 others to testify for their investigation as to whether communist agents and sympathizers had planted propaganda in U.S. films. The writers refused to give information about their own or any other person's involvement and were convicted for contempt of Congress. They appealed the conviction to the Supreme Court on First Amendment grounds and lost. Trumbo served 11 months in the federal penitentiary in Ashland, Kentucky in 1950. He is a 3-time Oscar-nominated writer and a 2-time winner. He won in 1954 for Roman Holiday and 1957 for The Brave One. Now, before you guys come at me, I'm going to hear probably from the crowd, they're going to say, well, this was the 50s, these were plumbers, these were electricians. They smoked all the time. You think these guys in the 50s could compete with the modern day ballers, How are they going to compete with a modern LeBron James? And here's my thinking. If Dalton Trumbo had come up in the current era, his writing would have adapted to the current era. The man was a beast in his day. And I think with the proper training and the culture of now, I think his writing would be fantastic and he'd be a top 1%er in, amongst the current screenwriters. Also, I think a bunch of screenwriters now aren't very good. So I don't think Dalton Trumbo, who is one of the greats, would have any issue adapting to the current era of ball, you know. So we have our script, we have our guy, the agent's reaching out. Next thing we need is the director. So the director believes in the story. They want to direct and usually produce to find funding and see the project through to completion. They establish the look of the film and answer all creative questions from other departments. They work primarily with actors and the director of photography. There are a lot of criminal directors, but once again, we're selecting for who will make the best movie. And I bet you guys have two really good guesses. Half of you are going to be right. Roman Polanski. The charges were unlawful sexual intercourse with a female under the age of 18, rape by use of drugs, perversion, sodomy, and lewd in a vicious act upon a child under the age of 14. And they furnished controlled substance to a minor. They settled on guilty plea with unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor. So basically, Roman Polanski admitted to the guilt with his lawyers, the prosecutor, guilty plea with the judge. But then this coward fled the country, and he's a wanted criminal in the United States. He directed Rosemary's Baby, Chinatown, and The Pianist. So technically, I don't know how that works, but like I think technically he doesn't have a felony here, even though he pled guilty, because they never got to that part of like the paperwork. But the man pled, it's over. If he ever comes back in the US, they would arrest him immediately. I'm going to bend the rules slightly, but we're going to count it. Roman Polanski is our director. Objectively an amazing director, and this is what we need if we're going after that Oscar, guys. We need someone of Roman Polanski's skills to get us across that finish line. Excuse me. White Monster's killing me. All right. So now we need our producer. The producer believes in the project so much they either put money up or secure money so that it is made. They have creative input with cast and crew selections. Remember, if you're funding the whole thing, you get a lot of say in the movie. They have input on the final cut sometimes, and then sometimes they determine the final cut. So unlike TV, where the writers are the top dog, you know, like your showrunner basically determines everything, in film, it's usually the director or the producer that gets it. So writers in film, much, much less power, but directors have a lot of power, but usually the producer has the most power because they're the ones that are funding the whole thing. So, you know, you spend $200 million on a movie or secure $200 million, you're going to have input, and often you'll have the most important input. They work behind the scenes in award season to help their film get nominated and win. Remember, when we're trying to win our Oscar, there's a lot of behind the scenes BS. There's a lot of dinners, there's a lot of parties, there's a lot of interviews, there's a lot of gift giving, back scratching, a lot of things you have to do. It's not like the NBA MVP, it's not like the NFL Offensive Player of the Year, right? It's not necessarily like an objective voting metric. A lot of back scratching. A lot of the times I don't even see all the movies, but you know, you send your actress out or your actor out and they're very charming at the dinners. A lot of people might just vote for that movie because they really enjoyed that actor. That's just how the game is played. So we need someone that knows the game and can help us win, right? We need to win the meta. So, who do we know that's kind of slimy, has a ton of good movies, and has been there and done that? None other than the GOAT himself, Harvey Weinstein. Give me Harvey. This man's LA conviction remains on the books, but his New York was overturned. That is going to retrial. Like I said, this was made months ago, and I think in the retrial, he was found like guilty again. I don't really know. Maybe he was found innocent. I don't know. But I was too lazy to update this. I just got to get the videos out again. But this man is still in jail, and he's going to die there from everything I understand. Plus, he's old and gross and fat. Jabba the Hutt is a generous description of what this man looks like. He was found guilty of rape, forced oral copulation, and sexual penetration by a foreign object. This man has been nominated for an Oscar for Gangs of New York, and he won for Shakespeare in Love. This actually really surprised me, only seeing that he had 2 nominations and 1 win, because he has objectively one of the most insane film catalogs. And just to give you an example, this man helped with Scream, Good Will Hunting, Scary Movie, She's All That, Master and Commander, The Aviator, Silver Linings Playbook. Do yourself a favor, go on his IMDb, and you're just going to see the amount of projects he was involved in. Like, it's in multiple genres and multiple really good movies. The man objectively really saw through some amazing projects. And of course, we love Tarantino. If Tarantino made a movie, this man was involved. They were buds. They were buds. They worked together for years. If you've seen the Joe Rogan Experience where Tarantino goes on there, Joe asks him about Harvey, and then Tarantino's like, oh, I just chalked it up to him chasing around the secretary like in a 1950s movie or something. He said something along those lines. And it's really funny to me how every single person in Hollywood, including those that knew Harvey and worked with him and were all very close, didn't know about it. Don't you guys find that super interesting? They were either victims of it, not victims of like the sexual stuff, but like victims of Harvey in other ways, or they just didn't hear about it. I find that all very suspicious, but I'm not saying anything about that. Maybe they're all telling the truth and no one knew about the crimes Harvey was committing. I don't know if you can see it through my glasses, but I'm side-eyeing. So we have Harvey. We have Polanski. And now we need our actors. So typically there's a lead actor and a supporting actor. Men get into more trouble, so our lead will be a man and our supporting will be a woman. It's just the stats, guys. If I tried to reverse this, there was not a lot of women to pick from. So assuming that they avoided Harvey or Roman getting all rapey, big assumption, we are attaching them to our project with dreams of Oscar gold. They really believe in the story and that fat check their agent negotiated with Harvey. So who are we going with? We're going with our supporting actress to start, and that's going to be Winona Ryder. She was nominated twice for an Academy Award in 1994 and 1995 for Best Supporting and Best Actress. She's been in movies such as Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Heaters, Age of Innocence, etc. She was found guilty of grand theft and vandalism for stealing from a store in Beverly Hills. I don't remember what the store was, but objectively hilarious that, like, the store didn't even care, or they're like, no, don't prosecute her, but the prosecutor was very excited about, going after her. I don't know why. She had the money, she could just pay for it. I don't know, stupidest case anyway, ever, but she did get in trouble. She got 3 years probation, 480 hours of community service, and a fine of $10,000. So there wasn't a lot of women to pick from. Just women don't commit crimes like men do. It's just an objective fact. But she did commit a crime. And she, as far as I can tell, is the most famous and probably the most respected actress I could find that has committed a felony. So Winona Ryder, you are our winner. Now, who's going to lead our film? Who will be on the other side of Winona in all these scenes? Who are we going to trust to really bring home our Oscar in our campaign? Who is our felon that will lead us to the promised land? Jonathan Majors, the GOAT. He is a top 5 current actor. If you were to ask me, I objectively think he might be a top three actor. He's objectively top 5 current actor. Arguably top 3. I think that's a fair assumption. This man was a fucking Rocky villain, and he acted circles around Michael B. Jordan. I personally like Michael B. Jordan. I know the internet is kind of divided on him, on just how good of an actor he is. Some people think he's a really good actor. Some people think he's not good at all. I think Michael B. Jordan is like a starting 5 on an NBA championship team, right? Like, he's solid in the rotation. You don't have to worry about him. He's what you need as a piece of a championship. But Jonathan Majors is your regular season MVP. He is your finals MVP. He's the man in the fourth quarter when it's crunch time. You need to lead you to that victory. Jonathan Majors will do that. The dude is objectively amazing. But not only is he a top 5 current actor, he also is a top 5 bag fumble of all time. Not even just in film. I'm thinking about like anything of all time. This man was a fucking Rocky villain. This man was the main Marvel villain in the MCU. They had set him up to be the next guy. Do you know the fucking checks that this guy blew? I can't even imagine the amount of money that just left his pocket because he decided to choke a white bitch. And, he was convicted of assault and harassment for that. And on top of all that, there's an audio recording of him admitting it. So it's not even a thing you can argue about. He choked her. And, she went to the cops. And because of that, big bag fumble. Just an absolute fucking idiot. Magazine Dreams. I don't know if you guys have seen it. You should see it. There are a lot of clips online of Magazine Dreams. If you're into the lifting community, Instagram has a bunch of them. I don't have a TikTok anymore because I was too addicted. But on Instagram, just the best clips. So funny. Goddamn, I love everything Jonathan Majors is in. I've never seen a movie where Jonathan Majors was in it and was the problem, or wasn't like basically the highlight. No matter what he's in, he's just amazing. And I've never really seen him in a situation where he's on screen with someone else where he's being outacted. At worst, they're the same level, but normally he's just destroying everyone on screen. The man is a presence. What an idiot, an absolute idiot. So he seems to be making a comeback of late in the black community. He's really been pushing for them and like the support, and they seem to be rallying around him for the most part. But I don't know if white people will accept him again. I personally don't think Latinos really care about like the crime he committed or not, so I think they'd be fine with it. But I don't know if white people are going to take Jonathan Majors back, and that could just be because like the Hollywood people don't want to bring him back and they just don't want to take the risk. But I could see him coming back in like 10 years, but he's already going to be out of his prime, and he's in his like mid to late 30s right now. This is the time where he should be killing it and his stars should be exploding, but he really just fumbled this whole thing. Just an absolute mess. Do not choke a white bitch, especially if you're a black man. You cannot do that. What are you doing, my friend? You absolutely fumbled this. If Jonathan Majors, you watching this, your agent's watching this, I would absolutely put you in one of my movies. I could rewrite a role. I'd put you in. Now, I have heard sometimes, allegedly, I've seen this on Reddit. I don't know. I personally don't know. But I've seen that sometimes you could be nasty to the crew. Sometimes you can be nasty to the cast. Those are Reddit rumors, though. I know a lot of those Reddit rumors aren't true. But if it is true, we would address it, and you'd be fine on set, and we could work together. So don't choke anyone anymore. And if you do, give your lawyers a chance and don't admit it on audio recording, man. That was really dumb. So the next person is the director of photography. They shoot the film. They tell the crew how to achieve the look the director wants. And this is my personal hot take. Every time I've been on set, I think the DP is the most important person. So the director works with the actors and he tells the DP what he wants to see in the scene, but the technical knowledge is not there. I've been hearing a lot of crew talk about how like on set, the most inexperienced person is always the director. And that's just true because the director like is not going to direct like a whole lot of things. Like, I mean, even think about the greats, right? A lot of them, if you're a prolific director, you direct probably like 20 to like 35 films. And that's just an insane number, right? That's very unrealistic. So that means in your whole career, you're doing 20 to 35 projects. But a lot of these DPs are like shooting a film, then they're shooting a film. They're going. They have so much more experience. The lighting technicians, you know, your gaffers, your electrical, all these people have so much more experience than the director does on set. My hot take is that the director of photography is the most important person. Because I know, hey, I really want like light on this person, and can we like fade up the light or something? I really want to express this emotion or do this, right? I kind of want the blocking here, here, and here. But I don't know how to achieve that personally. But you know who does? The director of photography. They know what lens to use. They can pull focus. They know how to work with the crews to achieve all the effects that I want. And without the DP, it just doesn't work. Like these people, honestly, I think are the most important on set. But that's just me. So who do we have for our director of photography? Adam Kimmel, someone you guys haven't heard of, but that's what's going to happen more on these support positions that you're not going to know, right? They're not the glamour above the lines stuff. This man shot short films for Natalie Portman and Scarlett Johansson, rough of the Polanski and Woody Allen support, but you know, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's interesting how all these groups kind of run together here. So he was a DP for Beautiful Girls. I don't know how to say that. Capote? Never Let Me Go. He pled guilty to raping a 15-year-old. He continued to work. This man also pled guilty to illegal fireworks. That didn't ruin his career, but you know, raping a 15-year-old ruined his career. It only ruined his career when this article came out and was like, guys, there's like a fucking pedophile actively working and getting jobs. I don't know how he managed to avoid it, but the man was convicted and continued to work for years. He was nominated for 2 Independent Spirit Awards. He missed out on shooting Moneyball because of these allegations, and he is out of the industry now. But I couldn't find a lot of DPs that had committed felonies, or at least they weren't popular enough to like pop up in searches. And so Adam Kimmel, your work, I looked at it. It's actually good. You did good stuff. And you're the only DP I can find that is a criminal. So guess what? You're out of retirement. You're on our All-Felon team. Congratulations. Now, I couldn't find any convictions for composer, but Danny Elfman is going through some stuff. So maybe him in the future. A lot of allegations about him. And then it was really hard to find other positions. So that's kind of our list, guys. I personally think this is an Oscar winner, right? We have one of the great directors, one of the great writers, one of the amazing current actors. I like Winona Ryder. Like, I don't think she's any slouch. Like, I think she does good stuff. So I just think it's kind of an all-star crew. And, our DP does do good stuff. Yes, he is a pedo, but objectively, he does shoot good stuff. So I think we're going to have a really good shot at winning this. So, yeah, Oscar Gold, likely. We're getting a nomination at the minimum. But thanks for watching, guys. It was nice to make another video. I'm going to come back with more serious content in the future. I think my next video is going to be all about Scrubs. I did a rewatch of Scrubs months ago, so I probably have to look at my notes. This is what happens when you don't make videos and you're not consistent with it. You have all these videos pile up and you're like, oh, cool, I just finished Scrubs. Let me talk about it. And then you don't talk about it. And then it's like 5 months and you kind of forgot everything. But I'm sure I can rally. So thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, it's good to be back.